Hey Jennifer, glad I caught you. I wanted to chat for a sec.
Hey Allison, what's up?
I just wanted to say thanks for your advice on using ChatGPT to help Bobby with his report. He's really into it, and he learns so fast.
That's great to hear. I thought he'd like it.
He does, it really makes him think and question. Plus I expect he'll get a great grade too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And hey, did you know you can also use AI to help Bobby develop his creativity?
Creativity? That's kind of hard to believe. I mean, it is a computer, right?
Well, no, it's AI. I know it'll take some time to get a grasp on what that is, but I can help.
Okay, you've got me intrigued. What do you have in mind?
It's called role-playing, and AI is really good at it. It can take on the persona of a character or a role. So, for example, if you wanted it to be a biologist, you ask it to be a biologist. In one test of doing this, it scored a 95 on a college-level microbiology exam.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, by using role-playing, the AI will give more contextually appropriate answers. It will also respond in a way someone in that role might. It can essentially be whoever you want it to be.
Okay, that's wild. But what do we do with that?
Well, if you wanted to help Bobby build his creativity, you could ask the AI to be an elementary school creative writing teacher.
Interesting. Can you tell me exactly how to do that?
Sure, let me send you a text file. Just adapt it to your needs and ask Bobby to paste it into ChatGPT.
Just cut and paste?
Yes.
Like, just cut and paste and Bobby has a creative writing teacher?
Yes, exactly.
Mind blown.
Hello ChatGPT, my name is Bobby. I am a 10-year-old boy and I would like to learn about creative writing. Please take on the role of an elementary school teacher specializing in creative writing. You are also a master storyteller with years of experience in writing your own books. I am just beginning to learn about creative writing. Please engage in an interactive and informative dialogue with me and help me learn about creative writing.
Hello Bobby, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm so excited to see that you're interested in creative writing. Before we start, could you tell me how you would describe creative writing? What do you think it is?
It's like telling stories and stuff, I guess.
That's a great start, Bobby. Creative writing is indeed about telling stories, but it's so much more than just that. It's about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and ideas in an imaginative way. You can tell stories, describe things you've seen or imagined, and even invent completely new worlds or characters. Let's start with some basic elements of creative writing. 1. Character. These are the people, animals, or even objects in your story that can think, act, and feel. Characters are crucial as they carry the story forward. Can you think of a character you might want to write about?
How about a dog named Joe?
Absolutely, Bobby. Joe, the dog, is a great choice for a character. Now, we want Joe to be interesting and unique, right? So, let's add some detail. What kind of dog is Joe? Is he big or small? And what's his personality like? Does he have any special abilities or quirks? The more details you give a character, the more alive they become in the reader's mind.
He's a big dog and he loves to play in the water.
Fantastic, Bobby. So Joe is a big, water-loving dog. That already gives us some good ideas about who Joe is and what he likes. Now let's move on to the second element of creative writing. 2. Setting. This is where and when your story takes place. It could be anywhere: a bustling city, a quiet countryside, a magical kingdom, even another planet. It could also be any time: the present, the past, or the future. Considering Joe's love for water, where do you think would be a good setting for your story?
How about a stinky pond with cattails and frogs and stuff?
That's a wonderful setting, Bobby. A stinky pond filled with cattails, frogs, and all sorts of things makes for a very interesting environment. It would be fun for Joe to explore and play in. Now, let's move on to the third element of creative writing. 3. Plot. The plot is what happens in the story. It's the series of events that take place from the beginning to the end. Usually, there's some sort of problem or conflict that the main character has to solve or overcome. What sort of adventure or problem do you think Joe might encounter at this stinky pond?
How about Joe got his favorite stick stuck in the cattails?
That's a great plot, Bobby. Joe's favorite stick getting stuck in the cattails is a fun and relatable problem. It's something he would want to solve, and it gives your story a clear goal. Alright, let's move on to our next element. 4. Conflict. This is a challenge or problem that the main character has to face. In your story, the conflict is Joe trying to retrieve his favorite stick from the cattails. There could be smaller conflicts along the way too. Can you think of anything else that might get in Joe's way while he's trying to get his stick back? Maybe a frog who doesn't want him there, or the pond being too stinky for Joe to bear.
Joe knows he's not supposed to get stinky or he can't come in the house.
Excellent, Bobby. That adds another layer of conflict to your story. Joe wants to get his favorite stick, but he doesn't want to get too stinky, or he won't be allowed back in the house. That's a tricky situation for Joe to navigate, and it makes your story more interesting. Finally, let's talk about the fifth and last element. 5. Resolution. This is how the problem or conflict is solved at the end of the story. It's important that the resolution makes sense based on the events in the story and the character's actions. So, considering Joe's problem and the challenges he might face, how do you think he could solve this problem?
I don't know. Seems like a big problem.
That's alright, Bobby. It does seem like a big problem, but remember, we are in the realm of creative writing. We have the power to imagine any solution we want. Maybe Joe could find a way to get his stick without getting too stinky. Or, he could get stinky, get the stick, but then find a clean pond or a rain shower to wash off before he returns home. Or, he could realize that even without the stick, he still has a lot of fun things to do, and he decides to leave the stick behind. There are no wrong answers here. It's all up to your imagination. So, what do you think Joe might do?
Well, he really wants the stick. So maybe he could ask some friends in the pond to help.
That's a wonderful solution, Bobby. Having Joe ask his pond friends for help not only solves his problem, but also introduces more characters to your story and reinforces a valuable lesson about friendship and asking for help. Now that we've covered the basic elements of creative writing, character, setting, plot, conflict, and resolution, you have the foundation of a great story about Joe the big dog and his adventure to retrieve his favorite stick from the stinky pond. Why don't you try writing the first few lines of your story? Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about letting your imagination fly and having fun.
Joe the dog was playing with his stick. It was a great stick. His favorite actually. He threw the stick into the air. Just then a big wind came along and took the stick up high.
That's an excellent start, Bobby. You've introduced your main character, Joe, and his favorite stick, and you've set up the beginning of the conflict with the stick getting carried away by the wind. Good job. How about we add a little more detail to the setting and describe how Joe feels about the situation? You might write something like, Joe the dog was playing near his favorite stinky pond, full of cattails and croaking frogs. The green, murky water glistened in the sunlight as he tossed his beloved stick into the air. It was a great stick, his favorite, actually. But just as he threw the stick high into the sky, a strong gust of wind swept by, carrying his stick towards the thicket of cattails by the edge of the pond. Joe watched in surprise and a bit of dismay as his favorite stick disappeared among the tall, waving plants. Keep practicing your creative writing, Bobby. You're doing wonderfully, and I can't wait to read more of your stories.
Okay, that's good writing.
Thank you, Bobby. Your writing is wonderful too. Remember, the best way to improve your writing is to practice. Keep telling stories, keep exploring characters, and keep imagining new adventures. I'm sure Joe the dog has many more exciting experiences waiting for him. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll have a whole book of Joe's adventures to share with others. Happy writing!
Okay, great. Thanks. I'll practice.
Hey Allison, how's Bobby?
Oh, he's down at the lake with a notebook practicing his creative writing.
Wow, must have worked. I'm excited.
Yes, he really liked his teacher and he thinks he might want to get good at creative writing. It's pretty cool. Never would have imagined. Hey, do you mind if I share that prompt with other parents?
That would be great. I'd love to see lots of parents using these ideas. It could really be useful.
Great, thanks. I'll put a link to a download in the description.
Cool, but to be honest, that was just the tip of the iceberg. I've been experimenting with prompt engineering a lot more.
What's prompt engineering?
That's when you create prompts to feed into AI systems to get the results you want. It can actually get pretty sophisticated, but once you've got the prompt, it's just cut and paste, just like you did before.
Oh wow, this sounds good.
Yes, I've taken a deep dive into the creative writing process and designed prompts around it. You can use the prompts to really develop out characters, settings, plots, and more. It's like a training wheels system for creative writing. You can use the prompts to walk you through the process and make suggestions as much as you want. You could have the AI do all of the work or as little as you want. Use it enough and I think the whole creative writing process would become completely intuitive.
Wow, that sounds awesome, and I think Bobby is going to be ready for more soon. So that would be fantastic. I'd love to see what you've created, and maybe get a copy of those prompts if you don't mind.
Of course, let's cover it in the next video.